A woman is walking hand in hand with her husband on Christmas Eve in Moscow. They're having a nice night when, suddenly, they start to feel a bit of precipitation on their faces. The woman looks at her husband and says, "Look, dear, it's raining." Her husband tells her, "No, dear, it's snowing." Well, this argument goes back and forth for a few minutes until they see the local communist officer, Comrade Rudolph, walk past. The husband says to his wife, "Look, dear, there's Comrade Rudolph, our local communist officer. He always knows the truth. We'll ask him." With that, the husband shouts, "Comrade Rudolph, is it raining or is it snowing?" Comrade Rudolph looks to the sky and says, "Raining." The continues on. The wife looks at her husband and says, "See? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Rain, dear." Paddy was coming back from his holiday in America. As he came through customs, he had 2 sacks over his shoulder. The customs officer asked him what he had in the sacks. Paddy replied, "Mobile phones." The customs officer didn't believe him and asked to be shown. Paddy opened each sack and sure enough, both sacks contained quite a few phones. "What are you going to do with all these mobile phones?" asked the officer. "Oh, they are not for me. My mate Mick, who is in a band, knew I was going over to America and asked me to bring him back 2 saxophones." Dave and Johnny were abroad on holiday. One evening, they decided to visit a local bar. "Be careful of scammers," warned their tour guide. "There's a lot of dishonest people in this neighborhood." Dave shrugged and laughed. "Don't worry, mate, I can always spot a liar." They went to the bar. At the door, the bouncer stood with his arms folded. "I'm going to have to see some ID, gentlemen." Johnny was furious and started protesting. "Of course, we don't have ID. I'm 46. Dave pulled Johnny to the side and whispered, "Shut up, and let me handle this. He's no doubt used to dishonest people." Dave approached the bouncer, winked, and pulled out $20, or whatever the local currency was. "Here's my ID, sir." The bouncer stared and said, "Sorry, I can't take a bribe." Dave pulled out $50. "How about now?" "Sorry, it's against the law." Dave pulled out $100. The bouncer stared longingly at the money but still refused. Dave pulled out $200. The bouncer frowned. "All right then. Much as I hate breaking the law, this is more money than I'd earn in a week. You can enter." Dave and Johnny entered triumphant. After a few pints, Dave got chatting with the bartender. "You should know, your bouncer is surprisingly honest. I didn't expect in a neighborhood like this to find a bouncer so hard to bribe." The bartender laughed. "We don't have a bouncer." A couple are on holiday on a Pacific island. When they arrive, they hear a constant drum beat. They ask the taxi driver and he says, "Drums must never stop." They get to the hotel and the drumming is still going, so they ask the cleaner and she says, "Drums must never stop." The drums continue all night and the couple can't sleep. Exhausted, they storm down to reception and ask about the noise. "Drums must never stop," says the concierge. "But why?" demands the couple. "Because when drums stop, bass solo begins." A man went down from Chicago to the Key West for a holiday. His wife was on a business trip and planned to fly down to meet him the next day. When the man arrived in Florida, he emailed his wife to let her know he had arrived but mistyped her address. Instead, his message went to the inbox of a woman whose husband had just passed away. When the grieving widow opened her email, she read the message, screamed, and passed out cold. The woman's daughter rushed into the room and found this note on the computer screen. "My darling wife, just checked in. Everything is prepared for your arrival tomorrow. Looking forward to being with you again. Your loving husband. P.S. Sure is hot down here." 2 priests decided to go to Hawaii on their holidays. They were determined to make this a real vacation by not wearing anything that would identify them as clergy. They packed colorful shirts, shorts, swim trunks, and sandals, and each brought sunglasses. The morning after they arrived, they went to the beach, wearing swim trunks and t-shirts. They were sitting on beach chairs, enjoying a drink, the sunshine, and the scenery when a gorgeous topless woman came walking straight towards them. They tried not to stare, but the temptation was strong. As the woman passed them, she smiled and said, "Good morning, fathers." They were both stunned. How in the world did she know they were priests? So the next day, they went to a store on the island and bought garish Hawaiian shirts. Once again, in their new attire, they settled down in their chairs to enjoy the sunshine. After a little while, the same gorgeous woman, topless again, came walking toward them. Again she nodded at each of them and said, "Good morning, fathers." One of the priests couldn't stand it any longer and said, "Young lady, we are priests and proud of it, but I have to know, how in the world did you know we are priests, dressed as we are?" She replied, "Father, it's me, Sister Kathleen." A man and his wife go on holiday and find a hotel for the night. When they find one, the manager says they're welcome to stay there, but it costs £100 each for the night. That's a bit outside their budget, so they politely turn it down and ask if there's anywhere cheaper in the area. The manager says, "Yes, in fact, there's a hotel just up the road and it's only £25 each, but I'll warn you now, there have been many reports of the building being haunted." The couple don't think anything of it, and make their way to the cheaper hotel, and when they get there they pay the £25 each and ask the manager about the reported hauntings. The manager says, "Ah, that's a load of rubbish. I've been here 300 years and never seen anything." Two men grow up together as friends. After college, one moves to Ohio, and the other moves to Colorado. They agreed to meet every 10 years in Florida to play some golf and catch up with each other. At age 35 they meet, finish their round of golf, and head for lunch. One asks, "Where do you want to go?" The other replies, "Hooters." "Why Hooters?" "They have waitresses with beautiful bosoms, tight shorts, and pretty legs." Sounds great. At age 45, they meet and play some golf once again. "Where would you like to go for lunch?" "Hooters." Again, why? "They have ice-cold beer, large televisions, and side action on the sports." Okay. At 55, they meet and play yet again. "So where do you want to go for lunch?" "Hooters." Why? "The food is pretty decent, and there's lots of parking spots." Alright. At age 65, they meet again. After a round of golf, one says, "Where should we go for lunch?" "Hooters." Why? "Wings are only half price, and the food isn't very spicy." Good choice. At 75, they meet once again. "Where should we head for lunch?" "Hooters." Why? "They have lots of handicap parking spaces, as well as senior discounts." Alright. At age 85 they meet and play again. "Where should we go for lunch?" "Hooters." Why? "Because we have never been there before." Okay.